Hey guys, it's Camzi, and welcome back to another video. So today we are doing a speed build and we are building a cookie cutter house. And it is 4 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms. I know it's a little weird to have more bathrooms than bedrooms, but it just is, it's the way it turned out. And it is 160,000-ish simoleons. It's a little bit pricey, but it's kind of the point because it's supposed to be like a house that's trying to be super fancy and grand. Like the people that live here, they think they're super rich, but in reality a lot of people have this almost exact house because, like I said, it's a cookie cutter house. And the reason it's called that is because it's like a cookie cutter where you just cookie cut the same thing over and over again. It's like copy and pasting. It's obviously not exactly the same, but it's very similar to a lot of houses you would see in the United States that are just copy and pasted. I'm not saying these type of houses aren't nice or grand. I'm just saying they're very common. I honestly would not want to live in it because it just feels very common to me. But if you do, I'm not knocking at you because these houses are honestly very nice. They're new, they're modern. I'm also not saying that houses like this are not expensive because let's be real. A house like this in real life would cost around $2 million, so they're definitely not cheap. I wasn't exactly sure on which windows I wanted to use for this build, and I still wasn't even 100% on the ones I picked. I did wind up picking these windows from Seasons, but the problem I had with them is they had those black accents, and that really just didn't fit the style of the house, I felt like, because I feel like those are more like lofty, like boho kind of style, and this house was obviously more suburban, so that didn't really work. To be honest, EA should definitely put in a white plain swatch and a plain black swatch, and maybe like a tan or like a brown or something. But most importantly, we need a plain white swatch and a plain black swatch. There is no excuse. We should not have to search through the catalog to either pick an item based on its actual physical looks or its color. That should not be a problem we face because there's only crazy color swatches. It's like we get like throw up pink, or we get like bright orange or yellow, or it's just something crazy. It's good for like a teen's bedroom, it's super colorful, but we don't have enough neutral colors in The Sims. Every object needs a neutral color. I should not have to search through the catalog to either decide if I want to have the windows that look better in physical performance or the windows that look better in color. It's just really annoying to have to deal with. To be completely honest, we should have a color wheel like we did in the previous Sims games, but I can't expect them to implement that now because this game is almost 10 years old, so they can definitely do that in The Sims 5 though, and I think they're going to. Anyways, this was definitely the perfect time to do my generic landscaping that I love to do because it totally worked with this house. Sometimes I try and do this landscaping for like these tiny houses and it just looks awkward, or I do it for like a giant fancy mansion. I normally would try to do something different, but it doesn't look as good as when I do this generic landscaping that I tend to do a lot. And to be honest, it actually looks really good with this house because it's like the perfect house where you would actually definitely see this type of landscaping. So it definitely worked out in that sense. I sort of took a little bit of inspiration from this house off of the Growing Together pack, which is, if you don't know, it's basically Generations, but in The Sims 4 that they're putting out. We don't exactly know if it's going to be Generations, but we assume it is, because a lot of the times the Sims community assumes things and it's not exactly what it is. But we can hope, and we're most likely going to be getting a Generations pack. Anyways, we have some pictures from that world in the video that's coming out, and we think that it is going to have a lot of houses like this, these like suburban kind of like cookie cutter houses. So I think this would honestly, if you wanted to place this in that new world, if you do wind up getting the pack, this would be a perfect house to place in that world. So I think this build is definitely very themed for like this month because I believe it's coming out next month in March. So I'm not exactly sure which date it's coming out, but I know it's coming out in March or sometime around that. But this house would definitely be the perfect house to play in, or even just place and put like some random sim in there if you really want to just fill up a lot. I did this thing in the backyard with 2 sliding doors, which to be honest looked really good on the outside, but on the inside it made the kitchen so awkward to furnish. And now that I'm looking back on it, I should have just deleted the doors because it was really a waste of space, and the kitchen was a little bit too small for this gigantic house. I think it was kind of a stupid idea to literally make a downstairs office like the same size as the kitchen. If I had have deleted the doors, it would have been a lot better looking, but I literally just decided to like leave the doors there and not even like rework the house for some reason and maybe extend that a little bit and make the kitchen look better. I don't know why. I just kind of like the idea of the two doors, so I left it. But now that I'm looking back on it, like I said, I definitely should have deleted it, but I think it still came together. It's just the kitchen was a bit too small for my liking for a house of this size. That's the kind of kitchen you would see in like maybe an apartment or even a normal house. It's just for everything else being so grand and having so much space, it's a little bit annoying to have a kitchen be so small. I really wanted to add in a grand staircase, like at the door when you walk in, you just see a giant staircase, but I couldn't figure out how to get it to work because I wanted the bottom to have like a like little staircase coming out from either side of the platform, but I really couldn't figure out how to get that to work. So let me know in the comments, please, if you know how to do that, because I would really like to do that sometime in the future on a different build, but I just couldn't figure out how to do it. So I wound up with this like two like more secluded hidden staircases on either side of the build. And I did make it work and look totally normal and seem like it would not be weird. And like I compromised at the end of the build. It's just during the build, I really didn't think that it looked good at all. But eventually it kind of grew on me as the build went and I kind of fixed them and messed with them a little bit. But I just really would have liked to have a grand staircase and I felt like it would have made a lot more sense. But I wound up just having to compromise and not do the grand staircase and wind up actually doing two staircases, which I feel like is still very fancy. Like if you have two staircases, you know your house is probably pretty fancy. But don't think I didn't really capitalize on making this house fancy but also suburban, so it was kind of awkward, but whatever. Don't think I didn't capitalize on that because I made a separate bedroom, bathroom, like almost an apartment, but just a bedroom and a bathroom and like a little reading area for the master bedroom. And then the other staircase went to the rest of the bedrooms and like a bathroom and stuff. But I made sure it still looked great. So don't worry. Like I know I had to compromise a little bit on the staircase, but that gave me a totally different idea that I thought honestly made it even better by giving me the opportunity to make a separate master suite from the rest of the house, which if you have little kids, that would be a pain. But since you don't have little kids, it's not a pain. I mean, in this house, you don't. You could obviously have children if you live in this house, or you could move in and turn one of the rooms into a child's room, which would be so annoying, especially if you have toddlers to have your sim have to walk all the way down the stairs, then walk all the way back up across the house to get to your toddler's room. But I think if you have a baby, you do a bassinet, and if you have a toddler, let's be real, no one takes care of toddlers in The Sims, and if you do, you could just honestly put a door in between the two bedrooms upstairs or add a little hallway or something if you want it to be more formal. Also, side note, this house has two living rooms and the kitchen is kind of small, so it was kind of dumb of me to do that. To be honest, I really should have just not had this sitting room here and made that the kitchen, because the actual kitchen is probably the same size of that space, but also only able to utilize half the space because the kitchen has that sliding door in it, like I said before, that makes part of the space unusable, and you can't like awkwardly place counters in front of it or else it just looks really dumb. So I have this sitting room here and another living room, but I also have a tiny kitchen, which doesn't make sense, and in real life it probably would have been done differently, but it's kind of just the way it turned out. Originally, the space was actually going to have a TV in it and actually be like a TV living room, probably the main living room. I wasn't exactly sure at this point in the build because it was kind of early, but it was supposed to have a TV and be the original living room. But I kind of just decided to have the two couches that way, a little chair, and have it more like a talking sitting room, which on the holidays your parents would like have you sit there while everyone's at the table or something like that. So I kind of just decided to have it as like a talking sitting room, while there's another TV room, which it's actually a little bit smaller than that space, but it's fine because that's not where the company is. That's where like the family hangs out. That's like the company living room for like when you have people over. It's more formal is the idea. To be honest, some of my design choices in the dining room were kind of questionable, and I don't really know what my problem was at that moment. I just decided to go a little bit off the rails and do like a colorful rug for some reason, and a little bit of an empty but weird design. I don't really know what I was doing in the dining room. The rest of the house looks better than the dining room, besides the kitchen, which honestly, I hate the kitchen, but The rest of the house, besides the kitchen and the dining room, looks good. It's just those two rooms I really had a hard time with. I don't know why. It was kind of just like, for some reason, out of the blue, my brain was like, you're having a hard time with the kitchen and the dining room. So that's what happened. Honestly, I don't exactly love the downstairs of this house. I love the upstairs, especially this teens room I did, which honestly I think is one of the best bedrooms I ever did in my entire Sims career. But I don't exactly love the downstairs. It's not terrible, it's just not as good as the upstairs in my personal opinion. I think the upstairs I did was actually quite good, but the downstairs is kind of iffy. I'm not exactly sure how I feel about it. Actually, the favorite room I did in the entire downstairs is the office, which is what I'm building right now. And I think it looked the most like realistic and nice, and something that like maybe the mother or the father or whoever works from home, or maybe works from home sometimes, that's like their sanctuary from the rest of the house, where it's kind of a little more cluttered and like colorful and popsy and arty, because like that's where the family and everyone actually lives, but that's like their sanctuary to get away from everything, is the office. So I think that's honestly one of my favorite rooms. I put that nice little like sliding door on there because I felt like it made sense. Like you wouldn't have an arch because it's their sanctuary, so they want to get away, not have their little kids running in and have all these people that are still talking and walking around the house. So I just decided to not have an arch and do a completely like closed off room with that sliding door, which definitely also made sense because on these HGTV shows that I watch, you see those sliding doors that they have, like those barn doors. I would have liked to do one of those, but I wound up just doing a plain sliding door for the office, which definitely made sense and looked good. I decided to go with this design of like a mudroom that then proceeds into like a four-way hallway where you can go four directions. Obviously, one of them is back outside, so you can really go three directions. But I mean, I guess you can leave if you want. But I decided to go with that idea of like a little mudroom and a four-way hallway, which made the most sense to me because it seems so realistic. Like in real life, that's something you would see is like a mudroom on like a fancy house. Even some not super fancy houses will have a mudroom. It's basically just a glorified entrance room. It's like if your house has like a little entrance room or something for like you to put shoes and coats and stuff, it's not necessarily like a grand like foyer on like some fancy mansion. It's just like a little room to like get situated, get in the house, put all your stuff down. Maybe you could put the keys on like a table. It's basically just a glorified entranceway. But in some houses, obviously, it's a grand foyer. But generally, it's just like an entranceway, pretty glorified though. As you can see now, I'm working on this living room, which honestly, I think was kind of dumb that I decided to do like a full floor rug like that. But it kind of stayed. Then I decided maybe to change it, but I wound up just not changing it. Like, after I was done with upstairs, I went back downstairs to kind of work on that living room for a minute because I just really wasn't sure if I liked it or not. Because to be honest, I really didn't. I just thought, like, well, maybe it kind of works, but maybe it doesn't. I just could not decide on that TV room on what I really wanted to do, even though I knew I didn't like it and I probably should have done something else. I don't know what I would have done to fix it. Now that I'm thinking about it now, I probably should have just deleted the living room and started over. But in the moment, for some reason, I really just didn't think of that. I was just like, oh no, I'm gonna fix it. So I decided to literally like stare at it for 10 minutes, but then I fix it. And it looks a little bit better when I fix it, but I never actually delete that rug for some reason, which honestly is like a stain on this build. But it's fine because the build looks great. It's just a little weird in that living room. Right now I'm working on this downstairs bathroom, which I think to be is like the main downstairs bathroom because it's a lot nicer and it looks a lot more lived in. The other one is kind of like a show bathroom, even though it's not as nice and probably a much cheaper bathroom in reality. This bathroom is the one that's more used and not really shown. It's a little more cluttered, dirty, because this bathroom is like closer to the kids upstairs. I know upstairs I do wind up putting two bathrooms, one in the hallway and like a Jack and Jill for the kids, but I just felt like they also use this one like downstairs. Like the family will go and use that one, and then the other one is like for company because it's like by the company area with that fancy living room and everything. So I just thought maybe make that one a little more lived in and a little nicer because that's the one the family actually use, which in reality people always have the stuff for when people come over be the nicest stuff, but it just wound up having that area have a nicer bathroom because it had more space than the other bathroom. So it's kind of just the way it turned out. Now at this point in the build, you can see what I meant by the kitchen being super tiny and this house being really big, because you're like, oh wait, this is a really big house. And then you walk into the kitchen and you're like, why is this kitchen so small? Which it doesn't make sense in reality, obviously, because you would have like a big kitchen, because that's like one of the main statements of a house is like having a big kitchen. That's what every mansion has nowadays. They're like, even if people don't cook, they want a big kitchen, because that's like the main statement of a house. Honestly, over any room, probably the most money is spent in kitchens. So I don't know why I decided to have a small kitchen and all this grandeur in the rest of the house, which obviously it's not that grand. I just made the rest of the house very furnished and like spacious and stuff, except that kitchen felt cramped and like I forgot about it, which to be honest I didn't. I knew that space was going to be a kitchen. It's just it wound up also being a little dining nook, and it also wound up being a bathroom and a TV room. So that was my issue with that. Honestly, I'm making it sound like a bigger issue than it really was. It's not actually that big of an issue. It was kind of just like in the moment really annoying to deal with, but I wound up making it work. But aside from that, now we have started the upstairs, and oh boy, was this a nightmare. I literally spent in real life probably 2 hours. I had to take a break from this build. I was almost gonna quit just because the upstairs was so horrid, and I even tried furnishing it for a minute. I just cut that out because I could not even with the floor plan. It was so bad. It took me like 3 or 4 different floor plans before I finally got it and did that thing where I had 2 separate second floors like I said before. But I really didn't want to do that because I always had that in the back of my mind the whole time, but it was really kind of a last resort if I couldn't figure out the second floor plan, because honestly, I loved how it turned out. I hate, though, that it would be so annoying to play with. Imagine having a toddler, like I said before earlier in the video, and walking across the entire house. Your sim would literally spend like an hour and a half in sim time walking downstairs, going all the way up, and then all the way up the stairs, all the way into the bedrooms. It would be a nightmare, and honestly, the kid would get taken away, because you know if they're that far, they're not taking care of it. It would be a disaster. So you would have to place a door between those 2 bathrooms there. It would be so awkward, but I don't know what else you would do if you have a toddler in this house, because honestly, just don't have a toddler in this house. It's not going to work. It's such an awkward floor plan to have a toddler in this house, unless you're going to have them like have a toddler like bed in the living room. I don't know what you would even do to have the toddler not get taken away, because it would be such a nightmare to take care of that toddler when your sim has to walk like 86 miles. I know before I said between the 2 bathrooms and that I made a Jack and Jill bathroom, but actually that was because this giant like box bathroom I have right there, as you can see, I decided to split in half into 2 bathrooms because it was just like not making sense, and honestly too large for a bathroom in this game. Like there's only so much you can put in a bathroom, so I wound up just not having a gigantic bathroom. I was almost gonna do a toilet room, but I didn't because it's just really weird. I honestly also wanted to do a closet, like bathroom closet, but everything I tried didn't work. So I wound up doing like a normal sized bathroom and then another bathroom that is the same exact size except a little bit smaller by like 2 tiles on the other side of the wall for the 2 teen sims that live in this house, and it would be like a Jack and Jill. And you can definitely see the character. Like I made it as obvious as possible that really only 2 teen sims ever really use that bathroom, because like it's a lot more cluttered than the other bathrooms, but I still had it like not super cluttered, because I had it where like one of the 2 sims is like super clean and the other one is like a little more messy. So you can like definitely see that in the bathroom because it's shared, so it's still a little bit messy but not insanely messy. And I thought that was a great moment to like show these teens characters on how one of them likes to clean and the other one really doesn't, so it's like in between messy. I feel like the fact that the master bathroom on this gigantic house is only like 2 tiles bigger than like a Jack and Jill bathroom right next to it that's actually pretty small is kind of a problem. And in real life you would have a giant like massive bathroom on that bedroom in this, because this house is so big you don't even need like all the space upstairs, and there's actually an extra bedroom for guests. So it's a big house, and it's just In real life, they probably would have worked the floor plan a little bit differently and had a large bathroom, maybe even a bathroom the size of the original bathroom I had for that master. It's just that it was a little bit strange because in real life, the master bathroom is typically the largest bathroom, but for some reason, it's the downstairs bathroom. So it's definitely just not the most realistic thing. So I would say it's a little bit strange, but it's totally fine because the upstairs bathroom in the master is actually very nice. So even though it's not the biggest, it's still a really nice bathroom, and I would definitely say it's master bathroom quality. I kind of had a hard time with the master bedroom area because it was just really large, so eventually I did wind up walling it off and putting in an archway there, and then the other way I had like a little couch and like seating area, which it probably would never be used by your Sims, but it still looked nice, so I just decided to leave it. And I know you probably just saw that my sim could not get into one of the closets, but the other closet is actually functional, so it's completely fine because all you need is one closet. It's not like it's for storage in real life. So as long as you have one closet that's functional, it's totally fine, even if the other closet is not functional whatsoever. You can also see I did this sitting area like I mentioned before, and to be honest, I don't really love it. It's not exactly the best area. It's kind of boring. It's kind of a waste of space, but I didn't know what to put there because it's such a big area and there's like nothing else you can really put in a space like that. I'm not going to put like a dresser there because that's out of like the main like bed area, so it felt weird. It's kind of like a separate living room, I guess you could say, for like just the owners of the house because like maybe they want some of their own space. I don't know. I kind of get the vibe though that these parents like really like their own space because they have their own like office sanctuary and their own like bedroom like separated from the rest of the house. So I definitely get the vibe that they like their own space. But now you can see I've started this teen's bedroom, and dare I say it, it's one of the favorite bedrooms I've ever done in any of my Sims builds. I know it doesn't look like much yet, but it's so cozy and comfy, and it has so many skill building opportunities in this bedroom. I know it's not that much, honestly, but like for a small-ish bedroom, it has a bunch, and it's just so nice and cozy. I just love it so much. I pictured this sim to be like the cleaner of the two in that bathroom shared space, because the other one is also like a teen, but more of an older one. The one in this room is supposed to be around 16, and the sim in the other room is supposed to be about 19 or 20. They're kind of in college, and they kind of want like their own space, so it's a bit larger of a room. There's like a mini fridge and stuff in there, because they want their own space, because they're like a bit older, so it's almost like kind of like an apartment. I mean, they have a bathroom, a mini fridge, a desk, a bunch of stuff in that room, so it's definitely like their own space, and it's a large bedroom, so I kind of got that vibe with them. But with this bedroom, they're the cleaner one, and they have everything they could ever want. Honestly, I think this is the better bedroom. Even though it's smaller, it's just so decorated so nicely. I just love it so much. I finished that bedroom now though, so now we're starting the like young adult bedroom. They're still like a teen, but they're also a young adult at the same time, so they're like 19, maybe almost 20, so they have their own space, and it has a mini fridge and a desk and everything they could want, like I said before. So it's like more of like a closed off space with more amenities than a normal bedroom, because like I said, they're much older, so they're much more independent than like a younger teen, so they would definitely really want their own apartment at this time, but most likely they can't afford it at this age because they're still like 19, 20, so they really can't afford to move out yet, but they do as much as they can at home and basically make their own apartment at their house because they really just want to move out and have independence, so they decided to just make their own apartment as much as possible in that room. For some reason, since the beginning of this build, I just decided that I really wanted to fit in an egg chair somewhere, so I finally fit it in this bedroom. Also, this sim is supposed to be the more messy of the two, so as you can see, I put clothes under the bed there and like made it a little more like messy, and it's kind of like college dorm vibes. As you can see, like egg chairs with beds and desks with post-its and mini fridges. It's very college dorm vibes. It's like messier, and for some reason I could not stop adding clutter under and around that desk. I just added in so much things there, like storage and stuff, because they just have so much stuff that they keep buying, because I decided for some reason to add them with a bad spending habit. So I put so much stuff under that desk and around it. It's just random stuff that they never use, but I don't know why. I just decided that they had to have all that stuff there. Also, guys, let me know down below in the comments what you guys think of that new Growing Together pack for The Sims 4. Honestly, I think it's a great idea, and I hope it's like Generations from The Sims 3, because that was one of the best Sims packs they've ever had. But if it's like that, I definitely think it's a good idea. If it's not, then oh well, but it's probably still going to be a good pack. Anyways, let me know what you guys think of it in the comments below. Also, if you made it this far, thank you so much, because this is quite a long video, but don't worry, because we only have around 2 minutes left of the build, so we're almost done. But besides that, I really couldn't figure out how to like work around with the mini fridge, because no matter what I did, I thought it looked weird in like the room. I don't know why, even though it's pretty common for teens to have like a mini fridge in their room, even if they're not that old. At like 15, 16, a lot of teens still have a mini fridge in their room. So it didn't even look that weird. It's just that it looked empty, if that makes sense. I know it was still pretty cluttered in there. I just felt like I had to add more things because it was a little bit boring in there for some reason. So I added in a few more things after the mini fridge. Now I have also finished that other bedroom, so we only have the guest bedroom left, and right now I'm working on that bathroom. It was pretty quick for me because I didn't think I needed to add much in, because that was supposed to be the bathroom that no one ever really uses, like an extra bathroom, kind of like the other one downstairs for like company, except at least that one gets used on the holidays. That upstairs one, literally like only guests that stay in the guest bedroom would use, which is like almost never. Maybe if you have someone in from like far away that lives kind of far on the holidays, so they have to stay in overnight at the guest bedroom, then the guest would use it. But unless you have a guest in the guest bedroom, there's no reason it would ever be used. So it's not as luxurious as the other bathrooms, because like in real life you wouldn't waste that much money on a bathroom like that, because it's not as like needed and used. So it's just not really worth wasting the money. And same thing goes with the guest bedroom. I barely put anything in there, but that's because on purpose, because I didn't want to characterize it, which was honestly more difficult than I could have thought. So it looks like a fake like Pinterest bedroom because it's very empty and not characterized. So I just decided to make it like plain boring as possible, which I hated, but I also loved at the same time because I thought it looked really good. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it if you really made it to the end of this video, because it's such a long video. If you want to download this build, my Sims gallery ID is just camzi_sims. Have an amazing good day, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.